Hi, Bryson and Jared here from Spicy Boys. Spicy Boys is a podcast where we can sometimes have difficult conversations around sex and disability.
Yeah, so we might be talking about things like queerphobia, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, trauma, some really difficult stuff. So you might feel a bit triggered by some of this. So feel free to tune out, take a break, skip an episode.
Hello, welcome to the Spicy Boys podcast. This podcast is recorded on stolen Aboriginal land. And on behalf of myself and Bryson, I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging.
I would like to echo what Jared said, and as we are both queer, I would like to acknowledge the long history of gender and sexuality diversity in Aboriginal cultures.
We would also like to acknowledge the long history of the disability rights movement. And me, myself, and Bryson are only here today because of the shoulders that we stand on that have literally put their lives on the line and in some cases lost their lives for us to have the human rights of people with disabilities we appreciate today.
Jared,
Bryson, episode 6.
episode 6. They said it
man.
wouldn't happen.
What's the number? I think it's 8. If you make it to 8 to 12, I think it
Yeah.
is.
Or I think it might have been 10, but
Yeah, if you make it to episode 10 to 12,
yeah,
we have a podcast.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
yeah.
I really hope that when we get to episode 10, we're like, done.
Yeah.
Bye. See ya.
Well, I'm not planning to do that.
No, neither am
Yeah.
I. Right. Very cool week this week. We launched our Facebook page.
Yes, very exciting.
And the plan is with the page we're gonna it's more a bit of fun, but also if you're not into hour-long conversations, we're gonna post little snippets of episodes on the Facebook page
Yeah.
that you might want to share with your friends or whatever to get a vibe of what the podcast is.
Yeah.
We obviously want to give away the best bits because we obviously want you guys to come back over and over again.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll share some stuff. We'll share our opinions about
Things.
what's going on that might not fit into the runnings of a podcast. But yeah, come join our community. It's facebook.com/Spicy Boys Podcast. This is the episode where I either get cancelled from the internet or cancelled from my marriage.
Oh.
Because today we are interviewing
Chelsie.
Chelsie, who works at theatre and has a background in, is a disabled woman.
Yep.
And has a background in advocacy and child protection and peer mentoring.
Makes a wicked potato bake.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Perfect.
Also, married to you.
Yeah, and also massive Disney fan.
Yes.
So can you please, I'll make you a deal.
Okay.
I'll keep the sexualization of my wife to a minimum. If you two keep your Disney talk to 5 out of the 50 minutes.
I mean, look, I feel like deciding not to sexualize someone should never be conditional. Jared.
It's consensual.
Okay, alright,
Yeah.
alright. So you'll keep the consensual sexualization of your wife in front of me to a minimum
Everyone.
if we don't talk too much about Disney. Alright, I feel like probably I can stick to that. Yeah.
let's get into it.
Hello, Chelsea. Welcome.
Hello.
Bryson
Thank you
Bois.
for having me.
Our number one fan, hopefully.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many episodes have you listened to?
Do you know what episode we're up to?
4?
6. That's pretty good. I actually had to think which one
We
we're
have rip,
so. Uh,
rip up your membership straight away.
so I hear Chelsea, you are a fan of Disney.
What did I just say?
I am a huge fan of Disney.
That is
Absolute Disney nut.
what was your favorite Disney movie?
That's a very hard question.
Yeah,
But don't you feel like everybody says The Lion King?
yeah,
Well, that's
Like
what
everybody says The Lion King.
yeah.
well,
Are you one of those people?
you did say that in episode 1.
I did, yeah,
Apart from Mulan,
Yeah.
you said the Lion King was your favorite.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
so cliche.
yeah. I mean, I feel like 90s kids, like you got to go with the classics. Yeah,
Yeah, fair enough. I would say mine is probably The Little Mermaid.
cool, cool. Well, we've talked about Disney now. We've done
Is
it.
it?
We've done
No
it.
more episodes.
I don't know.
Is that topic closed? So
We're up to 4 minutes now. Are we done?
Good. Hey, but that was only about 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
But we don't want Jared to sit here bored the whole time, or do we?
Well, I'm not bored. I'm just I've heard this before.
Okay. Well, you've never heard me talk about it before.
Okay.
yeah, you're not giving Bryson the opportunity to express his love for Disney.
Thank you.
Borderline
Thank you, Chelsea.
transphobic. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Rude.
Well, that's why you like Milan.
Yes,
Because of the storyline.
exactly. It made me trans. That's why I'm and bi actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
Disney trans.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think it's, I mean, now I'm encouraging this conversation.
Yes.
But I think it's interesting because until when I was a kid and I watched Disney movies, I never realized something very obvious.
Yeah.
That Disney kill off a media family member in every movie.
It's usually a parent.
A
Yeah.
parent, yeah. What was the first movie you realized that was the case? Like, you obviously was like, oh, that's interesting. That parent died, and then that parent died. When was the one
Well,
for you to say, hang on?
like, do you mean like as a kid, the first time I recognized that, or like just generally?
Yeah, well, were you a kid when you recognized that?
I don't think so. I think when you're a kid, you don't like you just like that things that just happens and whatever. But I think that I realized it as I got older, like in my teenies or whatever, and I was like, I think I come to realize that it was a bit about I think Disney's approach at teaching children to deal with loss
Yes. Yeah.
and prevailing in the face of loss.
It's really interesting you say that Chelsea, because I mean you basically summed it up, but I went to a really interesting talk once by one of the co-directors of Frozen. It was at the town hall, I think, and it was so interesting. He talked about so many different things, but one of the things he did mention was one of the things he thinks Disney does really well, and I don't think it's just Disney, but obviously Disney is really prevalent and has a huge reach, is that it teaches children that you can go through really hard stuff and be okay.
Yeah.
And he linked that back to apparently him and his wife had actually lost their like young adult son like a few years prior. And he was
yeah.
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 So like it was extra powerful him kind of giving that lesson in that context.
Yeah. Like he used his own experience bring it into the movie. And
Yeah.
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 For those that don't know, you obviously lost your mother when you were probably peak Disney age.
Yeah. I was 10 years old when I
Yeah.
lost my mother.
So did Disney and the Disney films,
Yeah.
did you have to take a bit of time out because of
Oh, absolutely not. No.
or
Like um it wasn't like that glaringly like obvious like oh they've lost somebody or a parent in this film, and therefore they're speaking to you and you need, like, it wasn't, it was just like, it's normal to watch a Disney movie and a parent is dead. Like, that's their go-to. Well, I think that, like, the whole, cliche fairy tale kind of thing provided comfort, like, as a whole. Like, so I think that's how I got through a lot of it. And I think that's the reason why I'm still I'm still such a hardcore Disney fan these days, because and I'm very, like, idyllic and romantic and that kind of thing. And I think that comes from that, like, you don't lose those feelings of safety and like happiness and hope from that as a childhood, like.
I think that's really, really interesting, and it's something I would agree with, as I haven't lost a parent.
Yeah.
Uh, I have, like all of us, experienced hard times in my life, and like a lot of us, I, you know, use and continue to use stories as a way to like cope and a way to escape. And
Yeah.
kind of as you were just talking about, like that experience of like you don't lose that like sense of safety and that sense of childhood. And
Yeah.
that's exactly how I feel when I like rewatch not just my favorite Disney movies, but like my favorite movies that I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, getting to like re-experience that like sense of safety and
and like that's the often the criticism, isn't it?
yeah.
Like, why are you watching Disney films for? Why are you watching Kill Bill or Quentin Tarantino's bullshit?
Yeah.
It's like,
Which I would like to flag, I also watch.
yeah,
But yeah, I think that whether or not people choose that avenue to find that comfort, the fact is that it is comfort and it is safety. And when you're feeling in need of that, whether you're a child or an adult, you can find it there, and that's nice. So to me, it doesn't matter if you're 80 or you're 8. Like,
I was just I just wanted to go back a little bit. Sorry. This is just something I when I said I haven't lost a parent, I have been through hard times. When I said that,
absolutely.
I don't want that to come across as like comparable,
No,
because
no, 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 no.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
want to acknowledge that, like, going through hard
And
times.
regardless, like, even if somebody hasn't lost a parent or whatever, they've still experienced grief and loss in some way.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, directly that experience.
Bryson doesn't know this, but when this goes live, Bryson,
Yes.
it will be 5 days before I Love You Day.
Oh,
And
that's adorable.
yes, but I Love You Day is quite special. So, as I'm alluding, one of us said I love you
Ooh.
on the 7th of February. Can you
Ooh.
guess who said I love you first?
So I'm guessing the day is maybe when you said it to each other,
Hmm?
but who said it first? It has to be you. You're so fucking mushy. Like, yeah,
Yeah, you nailed it.
yeah.
Chels returned
Which is about
home.
what, almost a year later.
You left him hanging for a year.
I would say 7 months. I just knew Bryson.
Ah,
I knew.
that's beautiful, John.
Yeah, we were living interstate. Um, and,
Like separately from each other.
and we weren't exclusive.
Okay.
Like,
We weren't even together.
we weren't even together.
We were just having a thing.
Ah,
Yeah.
Was it a situationship?
Yeah, it was a bit of a
It
situation.
was,
Yeah.
well, so this leads us into the first thing I wanted to talk about was like around privacy and how it affects um um men, women, and non-binary people and trans people differently. Before I love you day, I hinted a lot
Of course.
that I wanted to be with Chels, and Chels hinted to me that this is something that she wanted, but she was worried about the reaction of people and and what it might mean for um the people around her and how they will respond.
The situation was pretty much that people wouldn't necessarily be pleased about the idea of the two of us being in a relationship.
Yes. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Was that around the idea of either of you being in a relationship at all? Or was that about the idea of you both being disabled people in a relationship?
Oh no, it was about being in a relationship.
It was about
Yeah.
one of us being, well, actually both of us, but me in particular being in a relationship beforehand that had come to an end,
Right.
and then I moved I moved on,
Yeah.
but the the community might have not moved on from the idea of me being with the other person.
Right. Okay.
But that leads me into the privacy conversation because I think you pick up on my vibe by now that if I have something to say, or if I have something to feel, or if I want to do something, I do it.
No, I
And,
think you're very subtle and quiet and meek, Jack.
and so I think when Chels talks about leaving me hanging for a year,
Mm.
I think that's where some of the reservations were. Because here comes this dude, very attractive dude. He comes this dude who's like all very emotional, loud,
Oh my God.
proud, and
In your face.
Yeah.
in your face, just calm down, man. What you doing?
Yeah.
And when on the other hand, you still hold all those values, but you're more reserved, more,
Quiet.
more cautious,
Yeah.
more quiet. Oh, the situation around you. It took us a while to navigate that balance between like how we were going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's has a lot of layers to it.
yeah.
So you're in Melbourne and Chelsea was in.
In the house, in
Oh,
the Central Coast. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I love you that happened, and then 4 months passed before we were in the same room together.
So you hadn't even met in person.
Oh, no,
So,
no, no, no. We had.
so
Oh,
we
We
met.
thank
spent
God.
time
Okay.
together.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
Like
God.
we
Okay.
met. Yeah, but we
I would fly back and forth. Like,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
yeah. Well, no, not when you were in this
No, but
situation.
not for us, but
Not
in
for us, but for people with
yeah. So I'd be around. So
Okay.
we
Often
spent
Taylor
time together.
Swift. She would
Yeah.
come here for Taylor Swift, but
Okay.
not for me.
Okay.
So, but yes, we did spend time together.
Okay. Good.
But that was the first, like when we took it from a situationship, which I love the new word, by the way, it's very good. To a relationship, but from that moment, we didn't see each other for 4 months.
Wow.
But it was very clear in the decision that we made that we were going to be together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah. And then there was a bit of backlash and whatever.
Mm.
And by a bit, it means a lot.
And it still is, and
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody has ideas and
Opinion.
opinions. Everyone's very keen to give you their opinion if you let them.
Yeah.
So it was more around the fact that you had very recently beforehand been in a relationship and you also sort of were, rather
Yeah.
than the fact that you were like two disabled people in a
Yeah.
relationship.
So the relationship.
We'll come into it later, but I think for this, it was definitely not about disability. It was about, yeah. I think the question was, how long, respectively, would you like us to put our life on hold until you, the community, get okay with the idea that we want to spend our lives together? Like,
Yeah,
yeah. And
that's
then we're just like, no, we can't. Like, at a certain point, you can't do that. Like, it's
Yeah.
not. And people don't have any right to expect us to do that either.
yeah, of course not.
The question is around like privacy and like owning space, and
Yeah.
it wraps into, you lost your mom, so you had your dad, and you had a million brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
and the house was uh, very small. And in my situation, I had a lot of, my mom and dad. I think I talked about
Yeah,
in one of the episodes that until I moved out of home, my mom and dad did a lot of the personal care
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of stuff.
yeah,
So we didn't really feel, would you agree, Church? We didn't feel like we had the most privacy that everybody else gets.
Yeah, so compared to people in able-bodied people in general situations, we didn't get privacy, like talking about separately, in our lives the way that other people did.
yeah.
I don't know how much you want me to elaborate on that, but that's a big thing, and something that we all experience in some.
But, yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to zoom out and just say, like, that sounds so complicated because you're obviously navigating the expectation from the community and,
Yeah.
so on and so forth, like, which is huge in and of itself. And then you were also like navigating your, it's like very complicated family situations, which is so it's
Yeah.
just like sounds like there was like pressure from both ends.
When we're talking about the time it took for Chels to say yes or no if she wanted to do this,
Yeah,
was because of the way I've responded to my lack of privacy in the past.
yeah,
So I felt my privacy was not awarded to me in the past. So now my recent, you in the last 10, 15 years, my recent behavior is a little more expressive.
yeah,
I used to walk around the house in the nude, and I used to, post photos on the internet and wherever.
yeah,
Whereas Charles went the other way. And it's like, no, I had no privacy growing up. So now I'm gonna have all the privacy. And I'm not gonna I mean, you don't not express yourself, but you are a very
It's very
private person.
subtle compared to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, compared to me and probably you, we have a good self, a good shameless fun, don't we, person?
All right. That comes from
Uh,
being impressed, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's actually interesting hearing you kind of you talk about the extremes because I would say that I am uh like uh both. I think a lot of people would from my public persona would be like, oh, Bryson actually shares a lot about his life, but I do share a lot about my life,
yeah.
but I am also actually very selective about it.
So would you say it really depends on the space? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and also like how like because I don't know if you guys know this, I'm trans.
Oh,
What?
Yeah,
no way.
I
Get
know.
out.
Uh, and I'm very open about that, and it's really important to me to be open about that. However,
This is brand new information.
Oh,
I know.
I'm
Sorry,
beginning.
didn't mean to drop the bombshell on you. And I think, pretty much from when I came out, I decided I was going to be really open about it.
Yeah,
But then along the way, I had to make choices about like how much I wanted to share
yeah,
and why. And so there's kind of a like base level value of openness about it for me. But then like within that, I'm actually very selective about what I share. Um,
Well, I think, well, the common thing I'm hearing between the three of us is that it's about the control of it.
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's all we're doing.
Mm.
Doesn't matter what we're doing,
Yeah,
we're in control.
yeah,
As
absolutely.
long as
Because,
we have control of the narrative and about who knows what and when,
yeah,
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And actually, one of the reasons I decided to be open about being trans, uh, was because I knew that if I was open about it, no one could use it against me, because I knew
find
people.
out and
Sorry.
you mean find out and use it against. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
kind of beautiful and also fucked up as
yeah.
yeah.
well.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Taking back power, but you should be able to. That's your power.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, absolutely. And for me, it is a way it's very powerful for me.
yeah,
Um, because I had friends who I saw like who weren't out in all contexts, and then like people would find out, and if they didn't like the person, they would then out them, and that was
yeah.
obviously really fucked up. So one of the reasons I chose to be out was because of that, because I was like, well, if everyone knows, then nobody can like use
Which,
it.
like Jared said, it's good because it's like the power, but then it's bad because it's like, in a sense, you're taking back the power, but you're taking back the power in the idea that you have no choice. Like, you
Yeah.
have to, because otherwise it will be taken from you.
Yes.
And I think, you know, if we ever look at the last um 6 years of like our being living together,
Yeah,
and I think the protection that the privacy gave you, the privacy that you chose, it gave you a sort of protection in a way.
yeah.
But I'm wondering if there's been any downsides to that around people respecting you too. I know you have aspirations of being a mother, of your you're a wife, and we do wife and husband things. And I'm wondering if there has been times where you're like, if I was a little bit more open about things, people would treat me this way.
In some circumstances, I would say yes. I would think that like speaking overall, like I've spoken to you before about the fact that my being so reserved and so quiet and so like keeping my things to me put an air out that I was this prissy, like sweet,
Flower.
like flower that like yes, it's correct. I don't drink, I don't smoke it, but that assumption about me is not correct. And I got that assumption thrown at me a lot by people that didn't know me, but like assumed, like, but because of the way I decided to present myself, they had preconceived ideas and they rolled with them, and
And
that
then,
affected a lot of relationships for me.
and then when you started doing the advocacy work, not even the work, but like advocating for you and people were like, well, what's this about?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
going on
yeah.
here?
Oh, why is she being so loud,
Yeah.
open? Like that's not Chelsea.
And
Can
yeah,
I just can I just jump in and ask something about something
Yeah,
you brought up when we've talked before?
yeah,
Because you mentioned when we all had Christmas together, which was fucking amazing, by the way. You
yeah,
mentioned that like people in your life had kind of been like, oh, well, you like weren't like this before you met
yeah,
Jack. Is
yeah.
that
Yes.
yeah,
The general idea is that they still tend to carry is, oh, Jared changed Chelsea.
ugh,
Like you weren't like this before him, and now because he's in your life, you're like this. It's because you're around it. It's because you're around it much more often, and that's what you think now. So he's changed you.
ugh,
Yeah.
have I
So,
told you,
so
Bryson?
instead of me finding my voice and
yeah,
deciding that things that I would have been quiet about are now not acceptable,
yeah,
they've decided to blame Jared for that.
yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
And like, yeah, when you talk about if I am offended or wear that as a badge of honor, but the injustice is that they're not taking Chelsea's ability to advocate for herself as her own skills.
absolutely
As actually, this is Chelsea's ideas.
yeah.
This is Chelsea's feelings.
Mm.
This is not Jared by book.
So
Mm.
it can't possibly be that Chelsea woke up one day and was like, I've had enough of this shit. What you're doing to me is not okay, and I won't be silenced. It
Yeah.
was, well, you've been brainwashed by your, and now you're different.
That is very, I mean, there's so many layers to that.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting one is like you go to the comments around Jared needs more support and care than you do. So it's like now you're more disabled
Ugh.
because of it.
Yeah. So basically it was like one of many instances is when I tried to flag incidences of ableism with my family,
Mm.
uh and they said to me, it's not a thing, it's not a thing, you
Uh,
just think it's a thing now because you're around it more often,
Around it.
around it, which,
Me.
again has so many layers because around it they're talking about Jared's attitude, yes, but
yeah.
around it they also mean Jared's disability to them is more severe than mine, and
Yeah.
therefore I wasn't I wasn't in the community before, but now now I'm around it.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it's interesting because actually what jumped out at me is like um yeah, you are around it more, and that's what opens your eyes to it.
yeah,
You know?
exactly, right.
Like I
And right,
sorry,
wouldn't you say that people lead by example? So I see everybody else being like, this is not okay. And I'm
yeah,
like, wait a second, all those years that I put up with certain things that people would say or do or attitudes, I would be like, okay, this is clearly not okay. And I have one, a platform, and two, a community to back me up.
Yeah. Yeah. And language to
Express it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've sort of had three relationships in my life, like, people that I would consider. And they've all, thank you, round of applause. Oh my gosh. I've managed to trick three people into spending more than a month with me.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and it, like, as it turns out, they're all disabled.
Yeah.
But at the time, two of them weren't, like, knowingly disabled. And the first person was, the perception was I was the more disabled one. The second person was, well, probably the perception from those around us would have been that we're about equal. And the third was like they were more obviously disabled than me. So
Yeah.
kind of everything that you're both talking about, I've actually experienced from like
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah.
Um,
Those levels of privilege, right? And it's
yeah,
not even necessarily of your own or of their own. It's other people's perception of who's more disabled and who's less disabled and whatever. Like it's other people's perception and the privilege that they don't see that they're throwing around. Like
yeah,
it's like
Brings me on to something else that I want to explore
yeah,
is there's a big online, thanks to Dr. Phil, there's a big online community of interable people in relationships. Because Dr. Piano, Dr. Phil pretty much sits on,
he has all the opinions about that.
he pretty much sits on people being in interable relationships, saying you'll never be able to do both. You'll never be able to do the
There'll always be an expectation on you, and there'll always be a burden on the carer.
yeah.
Like if you're the side of
So
the carer's side.
so that was the fire that the interable
yeah,
relationship lit.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um, Spicy Boys, we don't pin disabled people up against each other.
no,
Well, I just want to, so going off the comments from family and friends around Jared's more disabled than
yeah,
you, being in a disabled exclusive relationship that we've all been in,
mm,
yeah, the positives that we hear are it's easier to connect. You both have a sort of a baseline idea of disability.
yeah,
Um, and you get, but I'm also looking at the the challenges of being in a disabled exclusive relationship. Around now we can debate if they're right or not,
mm,
but when you're living in this capitalist society where if you have a job and you can, well, relatively able-bodied,
yeah,
you will go far.
yeah,
So because we're both wheelchair users, and we're both, um, yeah, we both face struggles when we get employment, education, wherever. Um, our people in There are people who are in exclusive disabled relationships carry a heavier burden than people who are in interable relationships. Or
that is
we
a
just,
very spicy one.
or are we just having a no point conversation because the way the world is, then we just need to support all of each other.
Because the work, regardless of whether or not it's a pointless conversation, because the way the world is, we all need to support each other.
Yeah.
Um. Sorry, I realized I just jumped in.
No.
I would say that probably it depends.
But
Well,
if I elaborate, I would say that Chels provides me with support
yeah,
and I provide Chels with support.
Absolutely.
That able-bodied couples wouldn't need to do.
yeah.
For each other.
Does that mean that we are in an unstable relationship?
Good question.
But we're just talking about.
But there's also the argument that we're not, because there are interable relationships where one partner does not have a disability. They're an able-bodied person. And that does not make the playing field the same. It's not like, yeah.
What's mildly hilarious, Bryson, is that Chelsea has a companion card,
Yeah.
and that's not the hilarious bit. The hilarious bit is when I go to use it as Chelsea's companion.
And
And
they
they're kind
do
of
take
looking
off.
at me like, no, but where's the real one time, no shit. Someone said, where's the real companion?
Oh my God. That is.
Jared was like, excuse me, I am the companion. Because regardless of the fact that I have a disability, my wife is unable to do what she's wanting to do without me. And
Yeah.
therefore I am her companion.
Yeah. I really relate to that because in many, there are probably people watching or listening to this that don't know me, hopefully. So when I move through the world, most of the time, I'm not visibly disabled. And there are times where I've been out and about with people who are more visibly disabled than me. And, they're actually, we might be in a situation where they're actually providing me with support. But because of the optics of it, like I'm perceived to be the one doing the support.
Absolutely.
But this speaks to the conversation we were having on episode 4 with Shelley about this idea that disabled people are passive in the world. Like we get things done to us or for us.
Yeah.
We couldn't possibly do things for people.
Or for ourselves.
Yeah, or for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it's interesting around, because we live in a capitalist society, and if one person in a relationship was able-bodied, they would have a higher chance of having a higher income for their family, and housing plays into that.
Yeah.
And it's all, everybody has the right to support workers and the NDIS and stuff. But the raw facts of it, now I'm getting real spicy. But the raw facts are like, if you have an able-bodied partner and you needed to get up and go to the toilet in the middle of the night and there was no support worker available, your partner would step in.
Yeah.
We don't have that privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether that's right or wrong for people to carry into able relationships, that's the fact.
And we're not saying that it should be expected or whatever, but we're saying the privilege comes from the idea that is possible for
Mm.
them. Like that is an option, whether or not the person considers that the best option
Yeah.
is
Or
an
the safe option
yeah.
is
Yeah.
an option that in particular physically disabled people don't have.
Yeah. Can I flip it round and maybe I'm being a jerk here? Maybe I'm being the podcast jerk.
This is possible.
Like I can certainly see how it's a privilege in some respects. Kind of touching on what you said, Chelsea, or not just touching, like addressing what you said. Like, is it the best option? Like
The answer would be no, for sure.
yeah,
But when you have no option
yeah, of course.
or an option, the an option, even if it's not the best option, is an option. So, for example, if you had gastro or something and you really needed to get to the bathroom
Yeah,
and your partner couldn't help you,
yeah,
but then if that partner is able-bodied, yeah, of course it's not their role generally to do that,
yeah,
but in an emergency they could absolutely help you.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
yeah, definitely.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change either of our situations. I think the support that we give each other is invaluable, and the experience that we give each other is incredible. And there are benefits of being in an exclusive disabled relationship. You see the world through each other's eyes.
Yeah,
Together. But then, sometimes we both need an outside view. And
yeah,
then actually, what can we do differently? Or
yeah,
what else is, um, the, what else is that way? It's been great to have you on our podcast, and I'm glad that from what I can tell, maybe you'll receive a text from you once we hang up the phone, but looks like I survived. I'm still married at the end of the podcast,
ooh,
and we probably didn't get cancelled from the internet.
I mean,
Unless all the interable couples are gonna come after me now.
we might have been
Really, it's not, we're just giving opinions. That's the
Yeah,
point.
you can't get into trouble if you give me
No
an
one's opinion is right or wrong. It's just an opinion. And you can just like, and you can have your own position on those opinions. It's
yeah,
just based on
Yeah.
our experience.
Yeah.
yeah,
And catch Spicy Boys on Spotify and YouTube.
yes,
And don't forget to head over to our new Facebook page
brand spanking new.
where we're just gonna meme you all day long.
Absolutely.
All the memes.
You.
Yep. Thanks, Chels, for being
Yeah.
on.
Thanks so much. That was
Thanks
awesome.
for having me. I hope we were interesting enough.
Oh, well, we were, but you were.
Well, thank you.
And we will catch you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.